Headless POV, cutting through the bull with information that's sourced and verified. Top story: who gets a ballot? Monday afternoon at 4 o'clock, the Supreme Court gets an answer it asked for. 93 days before a midterm election, 9 people will decide who in America is allowed to receive a ballot in the mail. What happened? In March, the president signed an executive order on how federal elections are run. It directs Homeland Security and the Social Security Administration to build citizenship lists, state by state. It then tells the Postal Service to deliver mail ballots only to people who appear on those lists. States that don't cooperate can lose federal funding. 23 states sued. A federal judge in Boston blocked it. Last weekend, the First Circuit Court of Appeals upheld that block, finding the order would, in the court's words, sow confusion and threaten disenfranchisement of many eligible voters. 2 of the 3 judges were appointed by the previous president. The third, appointed by this one, agreed with part of it. Last Monday, the administration went to the Supreme Court on an emergency application, arguing the policy must be in place by mid-August to work for November. Responses are due Monday at 4. Now measure it. The Republican Party published 7 core principles this year under the Speaker's name. Principle 2 is limited government. In their words, government derives its power from the consent of the governed, and the Constitution provides for a separation of powers, with each branch guarding against encroachment by the others. The Constitution assigns the running of elections to the states. That's the Elections Clause. It is not a footnote. It is the reason there is no national ballot, no national voter roll, and no federal official who decides who votes. This order has federal agencies build the list. Federal mail carriers enforce it. Federal money withheld from states that decline. In a parallel case, a federal judge quoted the Supreme Court back at the administration. The president's power to see that the laws are faithfully executed refutes the idea that he is to be a lawmaker. Principle 3 is the rule of law. 2 federal courts have now blocked this order. The response was not to revise it. It was an emergency appeal timed to an election calendar. Principle 1 is individual liberty, rights preserved against government intrusion. The states challenging the order argue that a mismatch between a name in a database and a name on a registration could mean a ballot simply never arrives. Not fraud, a typo. The administration's case and the record. The Solicitor General argues the order is general policy guidance directed at the president's own subordinates and does not change anything at all about elections in any state. The stated goal is to keep non-citizens from voting. That concern deserves a straight answer. Non-citizen voting has been repeatedly shown to be rare. It is already a felony, punishable by deportation. And an honorable mention this week illustrating this administration's attention to detail and accuracy. At a global AIDS conference in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil this week, the State Department displayed a map of Africa. It labeled 6 countries receiving U.S. health funding. It got all 6 wrong. Nigeria, 500 miles of Atlantic coastline, appeared landlocked in the Sahara. Mozambique was moved to the Horn of Africa. Côte d'Ivoire, a country named for its coast, was placed inland on the opposite side of the continent. Reuters found a watermark on the image indicating it was generated with AI tools. The department apologized and blamed a staffer who altered the slides in a hurry. The same government that let a machine draw Africa is asking the Supreme Court to trust its database on who is a citizen and who it determines is allowed to vote. Pattern recognized. You should know better. 3 headlines, 3 news organizations. 1 standard, they all failed. 1. USA Today. The paper reported that basketball star Caitlin Clark skipped the WNBA All-Star orange carpet to get her hair done, a story that framed her as selfish. She was hosting a charity dinner for her own foundation. When the paper fixed it, this is what it published. Clarification: Caitlin Clark was attending an event for the Caitlin Clark Foundation. That is not a clarification. A clarification adds context to something true. The premise of this story was false. Calling a correction a clarification is how a newsroom repairs the record without admitting it broke it. 2. Democracy Now! On Thursday, the program aired a quote from the author Naomi Klein, warning about artificial intelligence. Klein never said it. The quote was AI-generated, assembled from real things she had written, mixed and matched into something she never wrote. It fooled her closest colleagues. She told the program that when she first saw it, she assumed she had said it. Then she searched for a phrase she knew was genuinely hers. Google's AI pointed her back to the fake as the source. To its credit, the show put her on air to correct it, but a newsroom repeated a quote it had not verified, and the machine that manufactured the fake is now the machine confirming it. 3. The outlets that printed complete disarmament. Thursday night, the president announced in capital letters that a historic agreement had been reached for the complete disarmament of Hamas and all armed groups in Gaza. Headlines followed. That same night, on a call with reporters, U.S. and Board of Peace officials said the document was a roadmap, not a finalized agreement, with key terms and timelines unresolved. The text itself gives 14 days to write the actual disarmament plan. By Friday, a Hamas negotiator told Reuters the group would not disarm until Israel withdrew. Some outlets reported the gap. Others printed the announcement as accomplished fact. A claim in capital letters is still a claim. You should know better. You've got the facts. Now it's your call. Subscribe today. See you next week.